Soap operas are what you get if you let people with too much time on their hands be entertained by people with not enough. Oh no, what do we do today? Quiet town in northern England? Train derail. Ah, genius. Deriving from the word opera, meaning a performance with multiple acts, and soap being the thing that my family forces upon me, soap operas have been a fixture of entertainment and the prime choice to fill slots in the TV guide. Beginning their life as radio plays with Erna Phillips's Guiding Light, a soap opera aimed to capture the daily life of its inhabitants of their fictional settings. If that sounds boring, then you'd be absolutely correct. So the idea of injecting strangely dramatic moments and revelations would go on to define the medium, as well as that of the drama. Mr. Jeffries, I cannot stand it. We must flee, run away together, for I am all you need. Forget your family.
What a little harlot. Did you hear that, Agnes? Yes, what a bitch.
The settings of soap operas differ wildly. Nothing more exemplifies this than the two most popular soaps in their respective country at any one time, being Baywatch of the US and Coronation Street of the UK. Baywatch was written and performed to be a big perv fest, where you could pretend to be invested in the plot while you oogle the breasts, like me in the meat section of the supermarket, or the chiselled abs of the male cast if that's your vibe. What was more important was that everyone had someone they could creep over, and for most that was famed Pamela Anderson. In stark contrast, Coronation Street's main premise was having northerners be miserable about their lives, but in pubs in each other's homes, a long-standing British tradition. That's not to say that there was no eye candy existing in Coronation Street. Oh, Hilda Ogden, you saucy little minx. Hilda Ogden is the greatest character in all soap operas and drama history, because if you YouTube her, all you can find is her having a go at people.
If you're not off that sideboard by the time I count 3, I'll sling you off. Try it. Will you get out the way? Come on.
You may be wondering why there was no slow-mo shots in Coronation Street, but it was decided in an official vote in Parliament that if Hilda was depicted in such a manner, then the child birth rate in the UK would be simply unmanageable. One last thing to note on Baywatch is how wholly unrealistic it is. As a connoisseur of Bondi Rescue, it appears to be missing an angry Australian sick of having to tell tourists to stop trying to drown themselves.
Spent 10 minutes explaining not to swim here, and you take him straight into where I told him not to.
Get out of the fucking water, you divvy cunt.
Over time, it was realised that real people actually have jobs, so they were incorporated into the various soap operas and dramas. These included lifeguards, doctors, nurses, police, firefighters, socialites, clergy, singers, students, gang members, prisoners, royalty, vampires? Yes, vampires. Farmers, lawyers, tycoons, paramedics, being Spanish, radio host, actors, flight attendants, demonic possession, and whatever the fuck Emmerdale is. And most importantly, a drama about one of my cousins. It turns out that things can get a bit stale if you broadcast for years and years, so to add a bit of je ne sais quoi and a bit of oomph, the writers will do something outlandish or out of pocket to get the viewer's attention. Most famously, Dallas's Who Shot JR, where he was gunned down and a giant whodunit emerged amongst the rich and the powerful, playing out in high-tense drama and stakes. EastEnders is a soap set in the East End of London who had their own Who Shot JR, with the far more glamorous Who Shot Phil. I was surprised to learn that a gun was used in this attack, as usually when someone shoots in London they put on a little tourniquet first. Oh, my head. So much focus has been on the US and the UK, but don't think I've forgotten about the rest of the world. I will now play a scene, a full scene, from, let me read this correctly, Cuidado con el Angel, meaning don't mess with the angel. Clearly, the stunt woman was busy, so they settled for the roll technique, the same way that I intend to get into the supermarket meat aisle I mentioned earlier, but this time at night, when no one could stop me.
In city after city, a second day of shuttered stores running short of their vital ingredient.
Bad effects are not exclusive to Mexico, as India comes in strong with what I can only assume is a direct attack on any epileptic people in the country, so yes, warning for that. Oh, what's that, Korea? You thought you could get away with not catching any smoke? Silly, silly country. K-dramas are what you get if you only hired people who had seen kissing but drawn by crayon. I'm Not a Robot is a drama about someone who's allergic to people, like me when someone tries to talk to me when I have my headphones in. He is sent a prototype of a robot companion, but it's not finished yet. Guess we're just going to have to pretend this woman is a robot until it's done, teehee. The most unrealistic thing about this drama is that the man didn't have sex with it within 14 nanoseconds after the Amazon delivery driver made him sign for it. Yeah, lovely. There you go. Oh, sorry, you need to sign this quickly. Oh, Jesus Christ! One alarming thing about dramas and soaps is the amount of mortal peril that a small group of individuals can go through. Take Midsummer Murders. Taking place in the fictional county of Midsummer, the murder rate sits at about 32 per million, but that percentage is utterly obliterated when you focus on the sleepy village of Badger's Drift, which is incidentally what happens when badgers try to drive on icy roads. In all of its appearances, there's been over 277 deaths, with villages in the UK carrying between 100 and 3,000 people. Even at the highest estimate, Badger's Drift has a higher global murder rate than the average Grand Theft Auto lobby. I like to imagine that the population is under 100, and after each crime spree new residents are brought in like the Hunger Games and are given empty houses where the kettles are still hot. Thankfully, these locations have been thoroughly cleaned by the incredibly overworked and underfunded CSI team of Badger's Drift, who I presume are the largest employer in the county. My favourite of all dramas and soaps, however, is the daytime classic Father Brown, about a Catholic priest who solves crimes in his small village in the 1950s. Wait a second, that sounds like Grantchester, which is essentially the same plot but with what people believe is a sexier priest. Obviously, I find this ridiculous, as Father Brown is the height of raw sex appeal. Next we have... Oh, you thought I was done with Father Brown? Fool. My favourite episode follows the plot where, get this, Father Brown battles the Illuminati. And no, I won't elaborate any further. The one thing that I've never understood about soaps and dramas and serials is why they don't do more crossovers. Make it one cohesive universe, like the end of Endgame, where Doctor Strange opens the portals and the soap Avengers come out to fight Thanos. Pamela, you came. Father Brown. Phil, you live. Wait, the greatest hero of them all. Oh, Hilda, I knew you would come.